I wanted to introduce today Grace Powers, and she is the owner of Acomoclitic laser hair studio. And so she is going to be sharing today her success. You're in the process of writing a book too, aren't you, Grace?
Yeah.
So congratulations for that. Of what her process has been. She's going to do a demo today as well with her sugaring. And so here you guys know how I feel about this. Take notes, because when you take notes, you remember what she's saying. It's going to make more of a personal impact on your life and your business and your career, on what is going to get you to where you personally want to be. So she's also created some of her own products as well too. So without further ado, Grace Powers.
Thank you, Victoria.
Welcome.
All right. I was just thinking, like, what a small world, because as she was talking about Ben Fuchs and Dr. Ken Olsak, Ben Fuchs actually was the creator of my pink wing cream. And while he was connected with Sanitas, I kind of had to keep it in the hush-hush, because it was kind of like a conflict. He didn't want those two to be associated. But now it's like he's off on his own, and now I can actually say that I have this awesome chemist behind this product. And if you've used Sanitas, has everyone used Sanitas? So it's a wonderful product line, and it's just all based on chemistry, and so is our pink wing cream. And then also Dr. Olsak is our medical director at the Acomoclitic hair removal studio. So I was like, what a small world. It's just so neat that everything has kind of come together, because it took me a while to find Dr. Olsak. I operated my business for about a year and a half without a medical director, and I was taking a risk with that. I was using a machine that was more of an IPL, and I had insurance coverage through ABNP or ASCP, which was the esthetician part. And they said they would cover that, so I felt like, okay, I'm covered as far as the insurance stuff goes, but really, like, I really wanted a medical director. And then when we upgraded to our luminous light share machine, that's when I found Dr. Ken Olsak, and he's been with us ever since. And we don't see him too often, but he signs off on all our charting and comes to our studio for trainings. We did just upgrade our machine again last year in October, and now we have the high-speed luminous duet machine. So he came in for that training as well, so he can know how the machine works and all that. And he's always going to classes and things and learning stuff, so whenever he comes in, he always gives the girls like a little nugget of information that's kind of new, and it really helps us do a better job and safer job. Welcome.
Hi, Sandy.
That's all right. So let's see. I kind of wanted to share with you where I'm at right now in my career, and then we'll take a break, and possibly that will be a good time to do a demo with the sugaring. And then I just wanted to come back and sort of give a little bit of a preview from like where I started to how I got to where I'm at. So currently I have a Acomoclitic hair removal studio. We've been in business over 7 years. And at this point we have 3 estheticians who work full-time, and we have 2 treatment rooms. We have been open 7 days a week, and starting in the new year we're going to be closed on Sundays. And we focus primarily on Brazilian hair removal with the sugaring and the laser. And we also do men clients. So that's kind of our little niche that we do. And it's just worked out really well, I would say, since I started. I really saw a need for that, not just in Denver, but just in general. Like, there's not a lot of places that people can go and get Brazilians and know that they're walking in with someone who has a ton of experience. And when they come to Acomoclitic, since that's our specialty, they know that they're getting somebody that does this all day long, every day. They're not going to be uncomfortable with the different private parts or different things that might be down there. And it just works out really well to have that specialty. And then once I kind of honed in on Brazilians, I started finding out about these other things like the anal bleaching and bedazzling, and so through that, that's what made me come up with the pink wing cream. I called Ben and had asked him, can I use your Skin Light Gentle for anal bleaching? And he was kind of taken back, like, what did you just say? Like, what is this? I've never heard of this. And he said, no, don't do that. Let me look into it further, do some research, and I'll get back to you. And then he ended up calling me later and saying that, you know, I'll create something for you. You can test it out on your customers and just see if it works. But he didn't want to put hydroquinone in it. For one, there was kind of word that they might be, the FDA might be cracking down on hydroquinone, that it wasn't going to be able to be purchased over the counter. And he also just thought he wanted to come up with something different. So the product has skin lightener peptides instead of anything else like kojic acid or vitamin C or the hydroquinone. It's the skin lightener peptides that makes the difference. And last year he actually created another product. He's like, let me try this one. And he said this has 3 times the amount of peptides in it, and it has a couple different types of peptides. So see how that goes. And that one just flew off the shelves. Like, people really were excited about it being stronger, and so now we just sell both. We were going to kind of transition to the other one, but it's worked out better to have 2 options for people. There is a price point difference, so that way if they want to start out with a lower cost point and see if it works, and then if they like it, they can always do the advanced. But we haven't noticed any difference with sensitivity. Because it has more peptides, it doesn't seem to be more cause irritation or anything like that. Which it shouldn't, because logically it's just a protein, so it shouldn't, be actually hurting the skin or anything like that.
So it's a cream they use every day or something?
Yeah, it is a cream that they would put on every day. So
it's not a process you actually do in the office, the bleach.
Right.
It's something they do with your product.
Yeah, we haven't done anything too strong as far as like a peel or something like that for the anal bleaching. I've read about that, like using a TCA product or something on the anal area, and just haven't jumped into that yet. Like, I just am a little bit nervous about it.
Too.
Yeah, and so the cream is perfect because it's gentle. If they want the pink wink or like a pink wink service done, all we do is just apply the cream, and that way they can see how much you use, where do you put it, how to blend it in. Sometimes people want to try it out before they actually buy it, so that is an option, and we just charge like a $10 upgrade for that if they want to test it out. Women also use it on their vaginal area, and some men use it on their scrotum and even their shaft. Sometimes I've seen circumcision scars that have a little bit darker pigmentation, and so guys have been interested in the pink wing cream for that. So
and how long does that take?
Every skin type's different. Some people see a difference within a few times of using the product, and other times it takes up to 2 weeks if they're using it consistently. And then I've had a lot of people that buy it, they're all excited, and then they use it 1 or 2 times and kind of forget, and they're just kind of using it here and there. So they might not see results for a month or 2 months or something like that. It actually works every single time, but just because our eyes can't, visually see a difference until it gets to a certain skin shade, that's why it seems like, well, we don't see results till 2 weeks, even though every day it's getting that little bit lighter, but usually people can't see the shade difference until 2 weeks.
Is there any contraindication for that?
I would say just normal things, like if there's a herpes breakout, wouldn't put it on. Hemorrhoids is fine.
Okay.
Obviously when you're putting it on the mucous membrane, it is getting, a lot of times it could get right into the blood, but because of the formulation, I wouldn't be afraid of that. I mean, I've even had people that were pregnant that said, can I use this? And I'm like, yes, it's gentle, it's safe, it's not anything harsh. So there's not too many contraindications, although if somebody has any type of irritation, I just stop using it, wait till the irritation goes away and clears up. And I've only heard of one person that had kind of a sensitivity to it, and I don't know if it was the cream or maybe it was something else, you know what I mean? So I haven't had a lot of people that had problems with it.
Is there a tingling sensation when you apply it? Because I'm thinking a strong cream like that.
Yeah.
And is there shedding of skin? Do you have to exfoliate in between applying it?
That's a good question. It does smooth the skin, so it would, especially if somebody doesn't naturally do exfoliation or waxing, they might notice more of the skin shedding, but most of our clients are doing some sort of exfoliation already, whether they're shaving the area or sugaring, you know, or something. So they're already removing some of that dead skin, and I think that that's probably why I haven't heard anybody say, oh, I saw all these flaky skin coming off.
Okay, so would you wait then at least 2 to 3 days before waxing to stop using the product?
No, it actually, it's not gonna be, it's not really exfoliating, it's more of a smoothing of the skin.
Okay.
So it's not, I haven't noticed that being an issue. It's not like a retin-A or something like that. So it doesn't thin the skin by any means. And of course, with the sugaring, we do have a little more leeway, so maybe that's another reason. And even when I did waxing, I only used hard wax. I never used strip wax on the anal area. So had I done that, maybe I would have seen more of a sensitivity with the pink wing cream. I'm not certain. So, but I've always kind of treated that area a little bit sensitive, you know. So even with the hard wax, I would always put like a powder or oil on the skin to give that little bit of barrier. Just so it wouldn't be like pulling off those skin layers. And then the sugaring is really gentle. I recognize you from my sugaring class. Has anyone else taken the sugaring class? Has anyone done sugaring? Oh good, this is kind of fun that you guys get to see it today. But it really is gentle. Like I just had my brows sugared yesterday, and usually if I would have been waxed, I would have been like slightly pink today. And with sugaring, I wasn't even pink afterwards. Like, it's just amazing. And not that that's with everyone, because there are certain skin types that'll get pink or red afterwards, but it's such a difference than with the waxing. And part of it's the heat. Sugaring's not hot, so you already right away cut down the inflammation that could happen just because of the heat factor. So, does anyone else have any questions about the pink wink? I love that you're just jumping in and asking.
What are the prices of it, or what do you retail it for?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So the 0.5 ounce is $38 for a container. And then if people buy it online, then there would be like a shipping cost. But if you buy it at the studio, it's $38. And then I came out with the 1 ounce size, which is this one, and this one is $69. And then I recently came out with the 2 ounce size, and I can't even remember the price of this one. I kind of did like 69 times 2 and then gave a little bit of a discount. So if they got the 2 ounce, they save a few dollars. And then we also can't have the advanced formula. So for the 0.5 ounce, it's $45. And then the 1 ounce is $96. So, and then I brought another one. I've kind of branched out a little bit. Even though it's the same cream, I market it for the different areas of the body. So that's been another kind of fun thing, because I came up with some other words. So we have Bleach Babe, which is for the vaginal bleaching, and then Bleach Balls for men's balls. And last year we came out with Pink Pecker for the and it's just been so fun to see like orders coming in for that. And people, I think they even buy it partly because the name is just so fun. So
Did your clients share with you why they want the bleaching?
Originally, when I was first getting into it, I was really curious. I was asking a lot of questions. Now I don't so much, but the primary thing that I heard was from women who had been pregnant and then got darker nipples, darker, maybe the stripe down their abdomen trail, and then a darker vaginal area and possibly anal area. And then so that was kind of the first thing that I heard, and I just heard a lot of that. And some of that fades naturally after they've given birth, and sometimes it doesn't fade it doesn't fade all the way back. So this cream will help kind of get them back to that shade. And then the other thing was just ethnicities, like different darker skin types would have like darker elbows, darker knees, underarms would be dark, and of course the vaginal anal area would be dark. One of my clients that ended up kind of becoming a friend, she was really this fun lady, but she was saying that she just happened to be like bending over in her bedroom, and like her little son was walking by and saw her butt, her bare butt, and said, "Mommy, what's going on? You have poop on your butt." and she was like, ever since then she was like, "Oh no, I'm embarrassed about that." So she was great, because she that was when we were sampling out the products, and so she was using it to give us feedback and let us know how it was working. So her discoloration partly was from pregnancy, but it was partly from her her natural skin tone, and her darkness came out like dark, you know, kind of out to the edges. It wasn't just on the anal area. So she was really thrilled to see results with this. And other people have that same, I don't even want to call it a problem because it's really not a problem, but if they have self-conscious with it, and especially after removing the hair, that's when a lot of clients will notice it. They'll be like, why am I dark? You know, that maybe it's just their first Brazilian or first time ever removing the hair, and they're like, you know, what's going on? And so that they might be a good client that wants to use this to fade the skin so it matches their leg color and around the other areas.
Would you say one jar will give you maximum results, or?
Unfortunately, no. That's why I kind of like started getting the bigger jars, because some people would have to go through like 4 of the half-ounce sizes, you know. I would say everyone's going to see results after 1 jar if they're using it on one area. If they're using 1 jar on like their elbows or knees, some spots on their face, and their anal, vaginal area, it's only going to probably last 2 weeks. So they might not be able to see very much results. So that's where they can get the bigger jars so they can use it on all the spots. It's not like a lotion. You wouldn't put it on like a bunch. It's a very condensed formula. As you know, Ben's products are very rich and condensed. He doesn't put fillers in it, and so they just need enough to cover the skin. I kind of compare it to putting on a chapstick, just bare, you know, just enough to kind of cover the skin. You won't even see the white after you rub it around a little bit. So that's been helping too. If they overuse it, they're not really improving their results because their skin can only take in so much peptides at a time. So it's better to just use that small amount gradually over time.
Well, that's good for you since you're selling it. You don't want it to be a one-shot thing.
Right,
You know?
right, yeah, and that's been what's, I think, one of the reasons I've seen a growth in the sales is because of the reorders. You know,
Right.
people are getting results, but they're not quite where they want to get, so they'll buy another jar.
Right.
Or maybe they'll start using it on another area. And so the sales kind of gone up with that.
Do you sell it anywhere else, or to other spas or other estheticians?
I have it listed on Amazon right now, and since I did that, I've been getting orders in bulk. So people are buying like 10, 15, there's one guy that's bought 50 at a time, a few different times. So there are people out there selling it, but I'm not really connected with them at this point. So I don't know where they're selling it. If they're just selling it online somewhere, or actually
Right,
in
it's Amazon, so you just
yeah, yeah. But
What
it is
about-
getting out there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Grace. What about trademark? Do you have like a trademark on it, I would imagine?
I have
or
a trademark
patent?
on the actual name,
Uh-huh.
but not the actual ingredients.
Okay.
And I'm not too worried about that because with anything, it's all about marketing. So
Right.
someone could steal my cream. I don't really care. Ben might, I don't know. But you know, if they made the same formula or a similar formula, but they'd have to go and market it. And
Right.
so that I'm more concerned about protecting my brand.
Right.
And then just, you know, working on that. So, but good question.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, well, actually, I don't want to move on too fast. Does anyone else have questions about the complete? Yeah.
Once you've achieved your results, there's probably some kind of maintenance. Is it as intense of going through the whole process to
You know,
reach your goal?
what I've found, and this is only from a few people that have really taken it to the level that I've personally known, you know, in my studio, have taken it to where they've gotten the results. They went through 3 jars. I'll use this one lady in particular. She got her results, and then I hadn't seen her for a couple years. Like, she moved and she got divorced and this and this and this. She came in for an appointment, and I said, how, you know, did that work? And she said, well, look. She's like, it lasted. And she hadn't been using the cream at all. So the one thing I do tell people is if they're going to have some sort of hormonal change, they're going to get pregnant again, or they change their birth control, something like that, then that could trigger the pigment to come back. Or of course sun exposure, you know, especially on a revealed area like an elbow or knees, you know, the sun exposure is going to pull out that pigment again. But if they just reach their desired shade, it should hold. I haven't heard otherwise at this point. But it does, I mean, there's certain skin, I would say Caucasians are the hardest to get. That lady was a Hispanic lady. So the Caucasians are the hardest to get to like a light shade because you have to get it so light. With darker skin types, you're just kind of getting it to a light brown. With, white skin, you're trying to get it like almost like a pink. And that's where I just haven't even seen anyone get to the point where they really were happy with their coloration. Like, it kept getting a little fader, but I haven't heard anyone a Caucasian that's reached that level. So, and that was one of the reasons Ben came out with the advanced formula too, is to try to just give them that little extra to see if that would kick out that pigment. So, all right. Any other questions? As you can tell, I love this product, and it's really fun to talk about. And it's interesting because as estheticians, like, some of the stuff that I have going on with focusing on Brazilians, some of you might not relate to that at all. Like, that is not my thing. But hopefully what you can take from this is just that you can look for what is your thing, and then, expand on that. So that's what I just wanted to encourage everyone today, and that's actually what my book is targeting. It's called Find Your Niche and Get Rich, and for estheticians and massage therapists. So that's sort of what I found worked for me was finding a niche, and then of course I've kind of branched out a little bit within the Brazilians by bringing in the anal bleaching, the Vadazzle, and then now I actually make my own sugar, and so that's part of what I do too. But so there's a lot you can do inside of a niche. There can still be variety, but it's nice to just keep it honed in so you get known and it's easy to brand and all of that kind of stuff.
Is that kind of what's helped you stay above all these like waxing chains that I keep seeing, like Wax in the City, European Wax Center, which they actually, I don't think, have experienced waxers. So I think going in, you really wonder what kind of experience
Yeah,
you're
like, am I
gonna get.
getting a new girl, or has she been here for a while?
Right,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, they of course have products, but, from, say, a small spa owner, you're competing against these chains. Is this what you feel kind of keeps you above those?
I believe so, and part of it is the expertise. We do, and the one thing even with European Wax Center, I was surprised that they don't offer. Oh, are you here for the?
I'm sorry I'm late.
That's all right. Come on in. Make yourself comfortable. One of the things they don't offer is the male Brazilians, and so right there I have a, kind of, I don't know, some reason for people to come to me over if they're looking online and trying to find a place. And then the other thing, I was doing wax. I had originally opened up my shop and was doing soft and hard wax, and for the Brazilians would just do hard wax. So that was kind of my specialty then. And then when I got into sugaring and realized that the sugaring had all these benefits, and then I saw these wax shops popping up, because when I first opened over 7 years ago, they weren't there. And now they've spread out, like I'm in Lakewood, so even in Lakewood, a Wax in the City came in, and then the European Wax Center just came in Belmar. So yeah, that's when I looked and said, we got to get rid of the wax and just go straight to sugaring, because it's going to set us apart and make us different. And the other thing is that all of us, all the estheticians working in the treatment room, we still had our wax pots in there. So because of comfort, that's what we were kind of comfortable with. We would oftentimes, we'll just use the wax for this little part, or we'll use the wax for this part. And then of course legs and backs, we never really switched to sugaring until I did a training of a lady that I was ordering from through Sugar the Nile. Janie Martz was her name. She came in and trained us on full body sugaring. And that's when I said, okay, we gotta just switch out, get rid of the wax, only do sugaring. I didn't change my prices, which, a lot of places where they offer wax and sugar, they'll do a little upgrade for the sugar. But I just kept the prices the same as the wax, and the first couple months were a little rough, partly because the girls were getting used to doing all the different areas with the sugar, and being, getting used to using what kind of sugar on what different hair types. So they were challenged in that. And there was a few customers that didn't like the sugar as much. They thought it hurt more. And I really believe that was just because of the lack of experience in my techs, because now everyone loves it. So I was willing to kind of go through that little rough couple months and get everybody switched over to the sugar.
So you use no hard wax whatsoever?
No.
I've done one male Brazilian, and just at scrotum alone, I haven't seen sugaring yet, so
Yeah.
obviously I should wait for my question, but I couldn't imagine sugaring the scrotum skin.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
And have you seen sugaring with the paste method where you like roll it on and flick it off? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a hard, that's how I kind of compare it, similar to hard wax.
Okay.
Because you're putting it on, it's not sticking to the skin, and then you're just flicking it off, kind of like you pull off the hard wax.
Okay.
So it's not like having to put the sugar on and then put a strip down, although you can use sugar that way with the strip, but we use the ball or the flick method on the scrotum area.
Okay.
And believe me, when I went to a sugaring class, I was just going out of curiosity. I had no idea you could do it for Brazilians because I was just so into the hard wax, and that was all I thought could work on it. And then I was in the class, and the instructor was like, "Oh yeah, I do Brazilians all the time. The clients love it." I'm like, "How do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get that strong pubic hair with this like gentle sugar?" And it's amazing. It gets it off. It does take more times going over the spots. Sometimes, although the hard wax I had to go over a couple times too. Sometimes, like it wouldn't always pull all the hair in one pull.
Yeah.
But the sugar, it does, because it's pulling the hair out by the root more so.
It's less application.
Yeah, it does. Well, you don't see the little black spots on the skin afterwards.
Okay.
But sometimes with hard wax or even strip wax, you'll see kind of like the little hairs, the little hair stubs afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes with sugar, I'll see that, especially on a brand new client who's never been sugared or waxed or anything before, because their hair is so tough. But then after they go through the first one, if I see those little spots, like they're just broken hairs, I'll just offer them in 2 weeks to come in and have a free touch-up, because those hairs are going to grow and they'll be long enough to sugar. And that way their sugaring will last the full time. And it kind of makes it a little easier, because if there are like other little ones that broke off that are just like, I could tweeze them, but I don't want to like go around and tweezing all these ones, then I just say, just come back in a couple weeks, we'll get rid of those then. And that's really only on those first time clients or people that haven't waxed for years, you know.
Would you say it's the same amount of time using hard wax and then sugaring? So if it took you 15 minutes with hard wax, does it still take you 15 minutes with sugaring?
It's pretty close. When I first started doing it, the sugaring took me longer, and it took, and I was busy. I was doing this all day, every day, and I shared this in my sugaring class. What I did to kind of get used to it was did half their Brazilian with hard wax and then half with sugar. And I started with the sugar so they could kind of get used to it. And then if I got stuck, because sometimes with the sugar, especially on a warm spot, it'll start melting. And when you're learning, you're like, what do I do? So I would just kind of go until either I got stuck or I got halfway through, like halfway on one side. And then I would do hard wax on the other side to help with the time, because I was really slow with the sugar. But now, I mean, I'm not so much in the shop anymore. I have the staff doing the services, so they're actually way better than me at this point. And they're doing Brazilians in 6 to 12 minutes.
Wow.
So, and that's even people that are first timers, just kind of depending on their hair. And then we always schedule a half hour, because we like to give that little extra time if there's ingrown hairs, just to kind
walking them through it.
Yeah, anything, making sure that we're getting all of it, because sometimes you can whiz through it in 6 minutes, but now you got to go through and get kind of the few that are left behind. So.
Last question, I promise. How long do you think it took your estheticians to really grasp the sugaring? Was it a month, 2 months, 3 months?
When I teach the classes, everybody learns how to do the basic in one day. Like you get the hang of it. You learn how to get the flick. You learn how to kind of get unstuck in certain spots. And then from there, it takes about, I would say for my new people, 3 to 6 months before they come, at some point they'll come up to me and they'll be like, Grace, I really am getting the hang of this now. Like, I feel really confident in it. So it's like 3 to 6 months, I would say. And that's doing, they're busy, so they're doing a lot. But we also do laser, so they're kind of doing half and half. But it doesn't take that long to really get it down where you stop getting stuck. But you just kind of keep picking up your speed, and you really like learn how to work with the sugar, kind of like, Would any of you consider yourself like really good with waxing? Not quite. Okay, so a couple of you, because it's like waxing. Like when you just get that really, you just feel like you're really good, and you know exactly where to put it and how to put it and where to hold the skin, and you just kind of get this rhythm going. And same thing happens with the sugar, because there's 5 different consistencies that we have, and even with 5 different consistencies, sometimes the girls will kind of pick the soft and the medium soft and mix it together, and because they know that that's the consistency they're going to need for that particular hair type. I mean, you just get like so good at it. It's you take it to the next level. But just to do a basic sugar and do a good job, I would say maybe 2 months, 3 months.
Okay.
So.
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, even waxing takes that long.
Mm-hmm.
And so sugaring is very similar to waxing. The challenge you have with sugar is that it does melt on hot spots. So that's where you got to kind of know what to do. Where like hard wax, you don't really have to worry about it melting on hot spots, or even soft wax is already so hot.
Yeah.
So
Do you
that's,
prep the skin then? Or no?
yes. What we use is just a little bit of powder, or you could use cornstarch, which is what they have at the school. So when I do the classes here, that's what we use. You don't necessarily need powder, and you don't need a lot of it unless they're sweaty. If you're doing a sensitive spot, you're doing someone who has been using a retin-A product or something like that, you want to definitely use powder. And then if you're going over the area again, maybe you've gone over a couple times and you're like, well, I still want to get those little bit of hairs, put some powder down. It just protects their skin. That gives it that little bit of extra protection when you go over the next couple times. But sometimes the powder can be an interference with the sugar hooking to the hair. So it just, so you kind of learn like how much to use and how much is too much and that kind of thing. Yeah. So the sugaring is really, really fun. I can actually pass one around so you guys can see it. I mean, it looks like honey. You can just kind of test it out and look at it. And the way that I label mine are really basic. I have firm, medium, medium soft, and soft. And eventually I actually want to make a no heat one that you just wouldn't have to heat up. Some of these, depending on the temperature in the room or the house or the climate, you wouldn't have to heat it. But it's still, most of the time you do have to heat it up a little bit. Because it's in the plastic container and this plastic can tolerate really high heat, you can actually put it in the microwave and just heat it up that way. So if you don't have a wax pot, or I was even thinking like today when I came, but I did bring my sugar pot. But like if I didn't want to bring my sugar pot, I wouldn't have to bring it. You can just throw it in the microwave for a couple seconds, or well, about 10 seconds if it's a strong microwave, and like 30 seconds if it's a not so strong microwave, and that gets it to a soft, not soft, but like just a little bit softer where you can pull out a piece and not be trying to like really pull it out, because at this consistency it's still pretty hard if you're trying to get a ball out. But I have done it before, just because I carry it in my workout bag, and sometimes I'll get into that later, but I do use it without heating it up sometimes. And it works fine. It just, at first, you kind of have to go slow so your skin can warm it up. Thanks for all the questions, because that kind of like covered a lot of the sugaring stuff. But those are everybody has the same questions.
That canister is actually pretty big. Are you just using maybe like a handful of sugar for each Brazilian?
Not even a handful. About this much sugar, like a little ball. And usually that will get through a whole Brazilian on like a repeat client. And then on the brand new clients, sometimes you go through like 3 balls, because the ball will get that hair wrapped into it, and it starts to get mostly, once it reaches more hair than sugar, you just toss that ball out and grab a fresh ball. But because you're reusing the same piece over and over and over, you actually go through a lot less product than you would with wax. And another benefit to the sugar is you don't have as many supplies. Like you don't need sticks with it, you don't need strips,
Less waste.
Yeah, there's just a
There's
lot
a lot of
less.
waste in the waxing industry.
Yeah,
Especially with the sticks.
especially with the sticks, with
Yeah.
using one per application. With the sugar, how we keep it sanitary is you put on a new glove and you grab the ball, and then when you're done with that glove, you just pull the glove off and throw it away, put a new glove on and reuse it. One of the things to cut down on even gloves is to just use, you're just using one glove on this hand and then just switching out one side, so you don't need a new pair of gloves every time. Unless when you're first learning, you might get sticky a lot, so you might be like changing out your gloves quite often. But
Is it biodegradable? Do you just throw it in the trash can?
yeah, I've heard that you can actually get gloves that are like biodegradable or more earth friendly, and I haven't invested in that. I haven't really looked at that, but if you really were like wanting to go green, you could actually get a glove that broke down like in a compost and had the sugar. The sugar is just lemon and sugar, and then the hair is going to be natural too, so it's not harmful for the environment. That is really good. And then as far as the jar, I guess that would be the one thing. I do offer a $1 discount if people bring the jar back in, and so the local places that I sell the sugar to, they'll do that. They'll clean out their jar, bring them back in, and then I'll be able to reuse them to make the sugar. So that kind of helps with cutting down on waste as well. But some people order it online and it's not really worth the shipping to reuse the jar. But, yeah. Let's see, before I go to the bedazzle, is there any other things you guys want to know about sugaring? Okay, we're going to do the demonstration, so if other things come up, you can ask then. With the Vadazzle stuff, has everyone heard of bedazzling at this point? Yeah? Okay, it's getting out there. When I was in esthetician school, it was like I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't really know about it until I started looking into writing my business plan for Acomoclitic hair removal studio, and I was doing all this research online and came across vajazzling, and I was like, this is really neat. So for the first few years that I was in business, I was just using, you could get the like little stick-on shapes of like kind of like this, but you can get them from like Hobby Lobby, and Walmart sells them now. Just little. It has a little bit of a sticky back, and then they're already in a pre-made shape like a heart or a star or something, and then you just put that on the skin after you've waxed them. And so that's what I've been doing for my bedazzling, but I really wanted to have my own product line. I was like, for one, it was really hard. I didn't find anyone that was selling designs that fit really well in the bikini area, and so I kind of had this idea of what I wanted, and I just wasn't finding it. So I had gone to this business seminar, and I heard about elance.com, and Elance is a website that you can go and write down, or you can put in projects, and you can put in either a dollar amount, or you can just get bids for different companies. And so I was like, oh, that might be a place that I can find somebody to help me with this idea. And so what I did, I kind of broke it into two parts. The first part was just getting the designs made graphically, getting the images of them. And then the next part was getting them physically made, manufactured. So the first part was actually pretty easy. I ended up finding a company that did it within my budget, and I don't remember what that was at the time. This was a few years back. But it was like under $1,000 to have 30 different designs made. And they were very specific as far as like the size of the beads, the size of the actual design. And so they sent me really specific pictures of what this would look like on the body. And then they actually went above and beyond what I even thought.
Is it ELANCE?
Yeah, ELANCE.com. Yeah. I love that website. I've actually used elance.com to build websites. Like bedazzle.com is my store for Vadazzle, and I also got that built on Elance, and that was like $300 to have a whole website built. So you can get really good deals on there, and there's rankings on who you higher so you can see their past history, comments from other people that have used them. So you're gonna know if they're good or maybe they're brand new, you know, you might be taking a risk with them, that kind of stuff. So the companies that I used, I really got lucky with the first one, which was creating these designs, because they knew exactly what I wanted, and this was all through emails and that kind of stuff, so it wasn't like I was talking to them on the phone explaining really in depth what I wanted, but they just kind of got the idea. And I wanted designs for around the nipples, around the belly button, and then the bikini area. And so I think I did get like 30 different designs made for those different spots. And then when I went to have them made, that was a lot more challenging than I expected. So I used Elance again, put in my idea, like I have these designs, I just need to get them made, like they're stick-on body jewelry, you know, and made it very descriptive of that, and got bids, and then chose a company. And that company was like working on it, and then they were coming back and saying, well, we can't do it. Like, we thought we could, and we just can't. So, and that was like time that had gone by, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And then like I put in another bid, hired another company, and then that company, they actually got pretty far along, but it was gonna be so expensive. Like, I forget how much, it was like $30,000 or something, and I was like, that's way more than what I wanted, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try this again. So I started calling around like local places. I was talking to a guy in Canada who was interested in making it, and he sent me some samples of ones that he'd already done, not like Vadazzle, but just the stick-on body art to make sure that's what I was looking for. I was like, yep, this is it. And then like, we just lost touch. You know, he wasn't answering his phone, he wasn't answering his emails. And so I'm like, okay, I went back to Elance, well, let's try this again. And I lucked out. This was last October. Put the ad up again and got a company that really followed through all the way to the end, but it did take a year, which I was really surprised. And it ended up costing about $15,000 that I was hoping to kind of keep it down to about $4,000 or $5,000. Just because I was like, I just want to see if this is even going to work, you know. So now I have a lot more invested into it, but I actually have pretty good confidence that it's going to be fine. And on the reorders will be cheaper, because the most expensive part was just getting each design formatted and into their computer system, and however they do it. It's kind of like getting something embroidered. You have to pay that premium price for the first time because they have to set it up in the system and all that. So I was just really excited. We just got the Vadazzle last month, and since then we've gotten pictures of them on a model. And I tell you what, they look so much better on than just like how they are today. So you'll have to go to the website and see the pictures of the model. It's also on Amazon, allows more pictures, so I was able to put like 5 or 6 pictures of each design on Amazon. And I just love, it just turned out really good. So I'm going to pass these around too, so you guys can kind of take a peek at the different ones. The ones that have 2 are like for the nipple area, but this one actually, we took some pictures of the model wearing it around her belly button too, because it looks really good with that. This one would be more like a belly button one, but you could see it could be used as a bikini. And this one was pretty kind of what I was looking for, you know, something that was like very specific to the bikini area. This one was made more for around the belly button, but it actually looks good on the bikini area too. Oh, and then the zipper one is kind of cool. It actually goes kind of up like this, and I mean, you could actually use it up or down, either way. But what we did was, the gal that was modeling had a little bit of a, we call it the calypso, but like a little bikini strip. And so we just put her strip right there, and it just looks so good. And then the zipper actually has a matching belly button one, and then matching nipple ones. So,
what kind of adhesive do you use, Grace?
you know,
But that was hard to figure out.
yes, and
Yeah.
the first time they sent me samples, I tried it out, and it was like falling off after one shower.
Yeah.
And part of it was because they had put and this was the way that they had been given it to them, but the beads were really far apart, and so they weren't tight close together. So we actually had to redesign everything each design had to be redone so the beads were all close together. And it kind of changed the design on some of them, and I wasn't really sure if I was gonna like it, but they turned out really pretty. I'm pretty happy with them. But they did upgrade the stickiness too, on the back, because I said, you know, it needs to be stronger. They're like, are you sure? You know, because they knew it was going on skin, so
Yeah.
they didn't want it to be too strong. But we had a lady who came in recently. She had a special event, she used it, and she emailed us back and said it lasted 3 days, and she said she was showering every day. And when it was starting to come off, it was just a couple little beads that were starting to fall off. It wasn't like all coming off at one time. So that was good feedback. And I actually don't remember which one she did, but you know, everyone's probably going to be a little bit different as far as how long it lasts, depending. I found when I used to do the ones from like Walmart and stuff, the smaller the beads, the longer they lasted. So the bigger beads would sometimes get caught on something, you know, like maybe you're zipping up your pants or your underwear or something, and so there was just a lot more roughness with them, and they would just fall off more easily. And then I also did custom work where I would get the little beads that you can get that have no glue on the back. You put like a little glue on the body and then dab them on, kind of like what you would get on your toenails at the beauty salon. So I had those, and then I also saw that there was some bigger beads, and I was like, oh, I'll try those too. And those ones just didn't last. Like, they were really cute. There was some hearts and like butterflies, but they were just big enough that they just didn't hold. So
What kind of glue did you use for the little ones?
you know, I experimented. I used a lot of the liquid Band-Aid because I figured this is safe.
Yeah.
But the one downfall with liquid Band-Aid is it after a couple days, or even like sometimes by the next day, you start to see that little crust behind it. So I really had to be specific on getting it right behind the jewel, or otherwise it, like, if I kind of smeared it on the skin, they just had like this crust stuff. So that wasn't looking as pretty as I wanted. And then that's where I liked the other designs that already had the sticky backing, because I didn't have to use the liquid Band-Aid unless I knew they were like they wanted it to last a little bit longer for something. So then I would add the liquid Band-Aid to that, or just dab, like I'd put it on and then dab the liquid Band-Aid just right around, just to hold it in there a little bit stronger. But then last year, one of my employees, she's a makeup artist, and she was saying, you know, there's this makeup stuff that you can get to like, it's like a makeup glue, I guess. So it's safe for the skin, but it doesn't have that crust. So I wish I could give you guys the name of it, but I got it at a costume shop, and the guy recommended it. We actually got two different types to try them out, and we haven't worked with them enough to really know. I think they can't give you a lot of feedback on that, but that is another option for the extra glue. These ones, now that lady that emailed, Heidi was the one that applied it, and she did not add any extra liquid Band-Aid or any extra glue, and it still lasted 3 days. So these ones have a pretty strong natural, you know, backing on it, whatever it has on the back. So.
Can you just walk into your shop and buy it? Do you have to place the order online?
You can walk in and buy it. I have our hours are kind of different because we're kind of open by appointment, and then I don't always have a receptionist there, so it's always better if you like call ahead of time just to make sure we're there. But you can take a chance, you know, especially if it's like during the day hour and that somebody's there. But sometimes when people come into our shop, the girls are in the back doing treatments, so we have a doorbell that people will ring, and then, you know, if they want to buy a gift certificate or buy a product. So that's kind of how it works with the drop in and pick it up. But you definitely can. And we have all, you know, we'll have all the different designs available right now because we have a bunch in stock. So.
Out of curiosity, what would you type in into Amazon to find this? Like body art or?
You could. I did put those on some of my like little tags that they let you put on the meta tags.
Yeah.
But even if you just put Vadazzle, it should come up.
Okay.
In fact, it does come up because I tried it. So Vadazzle, it will come up. If you spell Vadazzle wrong, it still might come up because in my little tags I tried to put out the different not misspellings, but different ways people would spell it. You know, V-E-D, or maybe they're saying it Vajazzle, you know, V-A-J or V-A-G. Yeah. I tried to like do all those in my little
so what's the correct
things.
spelling?
The correct spelling is V-A-D vajazzle. And that's on bedazzle.com is, where you go, vadazzle.
So those pieces come off, like that star come off all in one piece and it just sticks?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, and you have to be careful when you're coming,
Yeah.
pulling it off, so just really gentle so it doesn't break apart.
It's in a line.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you want to apply it to hairless skin, is gonna last longer because there's no hair to interfere. And then also use like a rubbing alcohol or witch hazel or something to really dry up any body oils or lotions or anything like that. If you're applying it, putting it on right after a waxing, a lot of times with waxing you're using oils or maybe a pre-cleanser or something, so you want to make sure all that's like taken off. And we use rubbing alcohol just to have it be as dry as possible. So.
Grace, if this is say $17.95, are you selling it for $17.95 and then charging a fee like $10 to put it on, or is it higher than that?
What we've been doing, if they have it applied at the shop, we just charge the price of it. We don't charge any added charge. If they choose a different design, because we still have like the little, like if they're doing a letter of someone's name, we still have all those available, and those we charge $5 to $10 per application. But that's why I've just kept the prices the same,
I see.
Yeah, although that's something we could possibly charge, but I kind of like, they're already there and it doesn't take very long to put it on, so I'd rather put it on for them for free rather than having them take it home and putting it on and maybe having trouble getting it on. Some of them are really easy, but some of the ones are a little bit trickier to get on, and get it on even, and like even that one around the nipples, they're all connected, but they're kind of those middle ones are kind of flimsy, so you got to kind of
mold it on.
Okay. Kind of move the pieces around so it's even and all that.
These are great.
Yeah, they've definitely been fun. And the one with the red jewels, because my plan was I wanted different colors, of the different jewels, pinks and blues and reds, and again, it's just a cost thing. It's like, okay, let's just start with like kind of the basic. But the red ones actually have been selling pretty good, and I think it is because it just like pops, it just kind of has that flair to it. But I tell you that just the plain sparkle gems are good. And we did a lady, it was really fun. We were invited to this, what did they call it? It was like a bush fashion show or something. And it was at a strip club, so they could get away with like nudity and everything. And they had really amazing makeup people doing like airbrushing and some really neat costumes. So like, for instance, one lady had, like, she was kind of like a lion, like she had, the way they did her hair was kind of like a lion, and then they did like this lion tail or something that kind of like was her bush, so it was like really elaborate, like this, like you would never really wear this. And then one lady had a cherry tree that was like on her body, and like the way they did her hair and stuff, and then I don't remember what they did down here, but what we did was on all the cherries we took a little red bedazzled gem and just put them on all the cherries, so it really was pretty. And then the one lady was like she's just like this princess. She had like black long hair and wore the little crown thing, tiara. And then what we did was we bedazzled her like entire front, all the way up around the nipples and everything, and it was just plain this silver color. And it was just so pretty.
Sounds so cool.
Yeah, and the way the lighting hit and everything, I mean, it was just so beautiful. And that's one thing we've been wanting to do a picture of, is taking a bunch of the different designs and like putting them all over a leg, and just really showing like what's capable if you like just put all these designs together and make it look really pretty. So
yeah, because on your website you can't really show the bikini area bedazzled,
it's
right?
been tricky. If you go to my website now, we do have on the slideshow a picture of the bikini, but she's kind of to the side, so it's maybe PG, but I think we can get away with it. We haven't had any complaints yet.
This would be huge in Vegas.
We saw them in Vegas, we were just saying, yeah.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah, it was
What, at the
incredible.
show?
Yes. And
Tell her about that.
they were doing necklaces, they were, I mean, the collars, it was, I mean, their booth, I swear, was huge.
Wow.
The one in July, the biggest show, or
June.
recently?
Was it the
We went
aesthetic
in
show?
June.
Oh,
The
June,
aesthetic
yeah.
show. Yeah, their booth was, I mean, people were lined up. It was,
Wow.
Do you remember the name of the company?
gosh,
I'll look it up.
yeah.
I bet I have it on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's getting more popular, and I've even seen fashion shows even on TV where they're starting to add in these jewels, like maybe a piece up here or on the back or in between the shoulder blades. So even on the website, a lot of these designs could be used on different areas of the body.
Back.
So I've been putting that as a little idea, like you can use it on your lower back or your upper chest or
Body art is big.
yeah.
Yes.
So maybe in a couple of years I'll have like all my 30 designs made. I have one that's like flames that I think is really cool, and I really want to get that one done. But we'll just sell out of these first and then kind of add as we go. So, well, do you guys want to take a little break and then we'll kind of gather in there and do a sugaring?